Zainab was the youngest of four sisters, born into a struggling family in a small town in northern Nigeria. Life was harsh, but her dreams were bright. She had always admired her oldest sister, Ramla, who had risen from poverty to wealth seemingly overnight. Ramla now lived in a luxurious mansion in Lagos and was seen as the family's savior. One rainy evening, Ramla returned to the village after years of absence. Clad in gold and expensive fabrics, she hugged Zainab and said, "You deserve a better life. Come with me to Lagos." Zainab's heart leapt. She had longed for an opportunity to escape the poverty and pursue her education. Their journey to Lagos was quick, but Zainab's dreams were even quicker to vanish. Ramla's mansion wasn't a home, it was a facade. She was taken to a separate building behind the main house, told to stay there quietly, and warned not to speak to anyone. The locks on the door made it clear she was not free. The next day, Ramla introduced Zainab to two foreign men and told her she'd be traveling abroad to work and send money home. Confused and frightened, Zainab asked what kind of work it was. Ramla only smiled and said, "Just obey, you'll be fine." Zainab was given a fake passport and flown out within days. She landed in an unfamiliar European city, cold and alone. A woman met her at the airport and took her phone. "You belong to us now," she said. It was the moment Zainab realized she had been sold. Her days became a blur of fear, pain, and darkness. Forced into sex work, beaten when she refused, and watched constantly, Zainab's cries for help went unheard. Each time she thought of her sister, the one she loved and trusted her, heart broke all over again. Ramla would occasionally call through her traffickers, coldly reminding Zainab, "Make enough money so I can repay your debt. Then you can come home." But Zainab knew there was no debt, only betrayal. One night, a kind-hearted client, a nurse from Ghana, noticed Zainab's bruises and tear-stained face. She whispered, "Do you want to escape?" Zainab nodded, terrified but desperate. The nurse promised to return. True to her word, the nurse returned 2 days later, bringing a hidden phone and information about a local organization that helped trafficking victims. Together, they made a plan. Zainab escaped under the cover of darkness, barefoot and shivering. She reached a safe house run by a group of African women who had survived similar horrors. There, she was given food, clothes, and, for the first time in months, dignity. The organization helped her report Ramla and the trafficking ring. Zainab gave detailed information, names, places, photos, and documents. With help from the local authorities and international police, an investigation was launched. Back in Nigeria, Ramla's empire began to crumble. Her accounts were frozen, and one by one, her accomplices were arrested. The community that once praised her now whispered in disgust. Zainab testified via video in the court case against her sister. She wept not from fear, but from pain. "She was my sister, my blood, and she sold me like a bag of rice," she told the judge. Ramla was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Her luxury and power meant nothing now. In her cell, she had no gold, no servants, only the bitter consequence of her betrayal. Ramla was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Her luxury and power meant nothing now. In her cell, she had no gold, no servants, only the bitter consequence of her betrayal. Zainab, though scarred, began to heal. With therapy, support, and time, she reclaimed her life. She joined the organization that had rescued her, becoming an advocate for girls still trapped in silence. She began speaking in schools, warning young women about the danger of false promises. "Not everyone who offers you help has good intentions," she'd say. "Even family can harm you." Zainab was invited to share her story on international platforms. Her voice, once suppressed, now carried weight. Governments and NGOs began to listen and act. She eventually returned to her village not as a victim, but a victor. She opened a shelter for at-risk girls and named it House of Hope. It became a beacon in the region. Though the scars remained, Zainab refused to be defined by what had been done to her. She chose to define herself by what she did with the pain, transform it into power. Zainab stood before a crowd at a global conference, her voice steady. I was betrayed by blood, but I found family in strangers. No one should be a price tag. I am free now and I will never stop fighting until every girl is.